The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter. Welcome to my show, Patty's Page. This is part 2 we're going to be doing today with Rick Wilson. It's an interview that they had with him. It's going to be a half an hour long, and I hope you enjoy it. Last week we had him on our show. He was showing us his paintings, and they're beautifully done.
Hi, my name is Rick Wilson, and I'm an Indiana artist. Opened up my studio gallery here in 2004. So I've been here for 12 years. Grew up here in Edinburgh, and as I was growing up, I always had an interest in artistic things, and always used to piddle with models, and I also play music, and so I would play guitar in my room. My dad bought me my first guitar when I was 9. And so just spent a lot of time doing things in the arts, visual or music. And that was the bulk of my childhood. I didn't run around a lot and, do pranks and those kind of things. I pretty much just stuck with music and art. And I think probably I did my first painting when I was around 14 years old. I did a number painting. I'd done 2 or 3 number paintings, and I thought, I could do this without the numbers. Well, I thought it would be an interesting project to paint all of Indiana state parks. It's an idea that I've had in my head for a long time, and Sean Dingworth of the Richmond Art Museum and I have been friends for a long time, and we had been bantering about an exhibit for quite a while, and so I presented the idea to him, which he loved.
Rick had proposed an exhibition in which he would paint all the state parks. We thought this was a perfect match for the Richmond Art Museum. Richmond Art Museum is known for exhibiting works of local artists. Rick was an artist that we were very familiar with through his work through the Indiana Plein Air Painters Association. There were several reasons why this exhibition appealed to the Richmond Art Museum. For one, Indiana has a rich tradition and heritage of landscape painting. As early as 1870, the Richmond group artists were painting plein air, and their favorite subject was the landscape. So in continuing in that tradition in terms of celebrating the bicentennial, we thought this was a perfect fit to continue that heritage of painting nature, painting the environs, and painting the landscape.
So I got started right away. It was a 2-year project. And so in January of 2014, I began painting the state parks.
Art's important to the bicentennial because art not only reflects history, but also is a chance for people to express their feelings about how that history fits in other contexts. We have 153 projects that relate to art that have been endorsed as bicentennial legacy projects. And they're projects for school children and projects for us as Hoosiers and projects with professional artists, because we feel that art is important to the life and fabric of Indiana.
So in 1916, when Indiana celebrated our 100th birthday, we created the state park system. That was the big gift to the state of Indiana in 1916, and it was Colonel Richard Lieber's vision that allowed that to happen. And in 1916, we created 2 state parks. McCormick's Creek was the first state park, and Turkey Run was the second state park. And even though Indiana was the 19th state to enter the Union in 1916, most states didn't have state park systems. So other states saw what we had done, and regardless if they were celebrating a centennial or any kind of anniversary, they started creating state park systems themselves. So Indiana was a huge leader in the creation of state parks across the country. So what better fitting gift to Indiana than as a recommitment to natural areas and parks and forests and trails and nature preserves and fish and wildlife areas than what we're doing with the bicentennial. So it's a really exciting time.
When Colonel Richard Lieber was putting together our state park system in 1916, he felt like the visitor needs to be personally invested, which is what brought about our user fee or our gate fees that people pay, and that helps them understand that they are helping pay for these parks, helping pay for the maintenance. And that's a model that we have used from the very beginning. We're one of the few states that do, and we use it very successfully, and many states that don't use that model are struggling.
This is can also be considered a base coat. These colors you want to put on thin so that they set up rather quickly, and then you can go back and paint on top of them. The challenge is trying to capture what it has to offer in a way that's believable. The job of an artist is to capture what he sees in nature, and so I thought this would be a really good opportunity to tell the folks of Indiana exactly what we have here.
Painters have documented the landscape. Oftentimes those landscapes have disappeared. Things that were beautifully preserved at one time, many, many years later ended up not preserved, ended up developed. And also landscapes change over time with weather patterns. And so it's really important to have documentation in a digital world, especially when digital files may disappear, hard drives may crash, photographs may fade. Paintings tend to stay around forever. And so having paintings of the landscape, paintings have a tendency to pull people in and have a spiritual nature to them and help people connect on a different level. And so this is a great way to help them connect with the state parks in Indiana.
Cope Environmental Center is an environmental education center for students mostly. We really focus in the elementary age, but we do all kinds of kids to get them outside and get them associated with nature, get them to fall in love with the environment, and get them to respect it so that they can in turn make really good decisions when they're adults about the environment and how to preserve our natural resources. We have 102 acres, and we are gaining an extra 28 acres right now through a very exciting bicentennial program where the Bicentennial Nature Trust is purchasing this piece of land to turn it into the Children of Indiana Nature Park. And the exciting thing about that is it's not a park where you have slides and swings and plastic everywhere. It's a park where students will have a deeded piece of land given by the state in their honor and named in their honor forever.
Well, we have made a big commitment to make nature sort of the centerpiece of the bicentennial celebration. As you can see from the many events that we have scheduled for our centennial celebration. And the Bicentennial Nature Trust, which was created to conserve additional lands leading up to this year, To date, we've conserved nearly 8,700 acres.
I think that nature as a centerpiece for the bicentennial is really only fitting, given the history of how Indiana celebrated our centennial celebration, and the wonderful thing about the Bicentennial Nature Trust, which was one of the signature projects of the bicentennial. It was a commitment of state money of $20 million and a match by the Lilly Endowment for another $10 million for a $30 million corpus that was matched more than 1-to-1 by private organizations and other people for $70 million investment in natural areas across the state of Indiana. It's been quite remarkable and a marvelous long-term capital infusion for natural areas in Indiana.
All these dead leaves out here that are creating interesting patterns. The biggest things I've learned about plein air painting is be prepared. A little hard to judge color with the sun shining on the canvas.
Rick really paints in the tradition of the Hudson River School, of the artists of the mid-19th century who were painting on the east. And I happen to know that some of those artists are some of his favorite artists, and he's able to capture that same spirit. And of course their favorite subject was nature, in which nature was grand, nature was always bigger than man. And what you would see is the great depth and the breadth of the landscape.
I think Rick has a very spiritual quality to his work. There's something about his paintings that speak to people on an entirely different level. He has his own unique style, and it has this richness in this depth. And I think that just is a perfect way to document Indiana.
I think my style is reflective of Barbizon, which is a French period between the years of 1840s and 1880s, and the American school, the Hudson River School, which is along the same period. There's a little bit of overlap, but those are the two schools that I really gravitate to.
Well, I'm a little biased. I have a Rick Wilson hanging in my house. It was an important thing for my wife and I. I first met Rick at the Hoosier Salon, and his style is so timeless. He paints very much, to me, in the sense of the old masters, and I think having him as one of our modern Indiana artists with that traditional, that real classic sense is really important.
All the hikers and the nature lovers in the state, they're out and they see these fabulous places every day. The art lovers will have a chance to go out and see Rick's amazing works and say, oh my gosh, I had no idea that Indiana had a park that looked like that, and they'll want to go see it. So I'm really excited that there's going to be a lot of cross-pollination on this project.
The diverse geography separates Indiana, in my opinion, starting up north where you've got sand dunes and prairies and glacial lakes and a beach that is consistently ranked one of the best in the country when you think about it. That says something for a state in the middle of the Corn Belt. As you move down to central Indiana, you've got the Richmond Till Plain areas, and then you move further south, you've got the steep cliffs and rocky canyons that take you down to the Ohio River.
And this provides really a fertile ground for artists. It provides an opportunity for artists to paint many different scenes, whether it's the dunes in northern Indiana or the beautiful hills of southern Indiana. And not just the geography, but also the plant life and the animals. I was surprised to know that one of our parks had bison in it. And Rick has painted a beautiful scene of these bison in winter. Rick has been really conscious about going out and painting for the last 2 years. So we have all the seasons represented in this exhibition.
I wanted 2 years worth of seasons to work with. Here in Indiana, we have 4 seasons. And so, I wanted the opportunity to paint spring, winter, summer and fall. And some of the parks actually are about winter. Pokagon State Park up near the Michigan line, they have a twin toboggan run with refrigerated tracks. And so from, I think, November through the end of February, they're open, and you can rent a toboggan and do a toboggan race. And so, I wanted to capture that. There are a couple of warming stations, and so I caught a family at one of these warming stations. They were warming their hands over an open fire, visiting with each other, just having a good time. The conversation was fun. It was light, but the overall general mood, the scene, really inspired me to do a painting of that group. It almost has a Russian impressionist kind of feel, and so I snapped their picture, got their permission and snapped their picture and painted the painting, and I'm just really pleased with it. Well, these rocks that were really illuminated earlier when I started are now in deep shadows. 2 or 3 days I'll put it away and then pull it out, look at it with a fresh eye. I think I'm pretty happy with it.
When you think of art of any kind, it can cause a person to slow down and really take in what they're seeing or hearing or experiencing. And we also feel like our parks provide enough natural beauty that a person should stop and breathe and take it all in.
Yeah, Spring Mill has this really neat pioneer village. So I did a couple of paintings of the reenactors, kind of a neat setting and just a way to portray what that park has to offer. Now, some of the paintings were done on location at different parks, and some of them were done, in fact, the majority of them were done in the studio. I do plein air painting, but I think I do my best work in the studio, and I wanted these paintings to be the best quality paintings that I could produce for such an important project. The term plein air painting is a French term for painting outdoors or painting in open air. I think the lure of painting outdoors is, of course, one, being out in nature and just enjoying the weather, and of course it has its complications with bugs and wind, but that's part of the experience. The other thing is Thomas Cole, one of the Hudson River artists, as well as Frederick Church, all those guys from the 1800s had more books on nature than they did on painting. And the reason why is because, nature has an unending array of variables. And by learning nature firsthand, that makes you a better artist. You have a deeper understanding of nature and how nature works, how light works in nature, reflective light in the shadowed areas, and it's just an awesome thing to be out here enjoying nature.
The state of Indiana is well known for its artists, dating back to the mid-19th century with the Hoosier group that traveled to Europe to learn art and came back to Indiana. They could have easily gone to cities such as New York, but they chose to come back to Indiana to record our nature. And now we have Rick here doing the same thing and tying in that rich tradition with the tradition that continues today with many of the Indiana plein air painters.
I think, art and Indiana are synonymous to each other. With the Brown County Artist Group, the Richmond Artist Group, Indiana does have a really rich art history. And so to be able to use art as a celebration to bridge art and nature, I think just makes sense. Yeah, a good artist will tell you inspiration can come from anywhere, that you don't have to have that perfect view. And however, it's a lot more fun when the view comes to you. although I have been known to move trees, plant trees where there were none. A good friend and artist, friend of mine, artist buddy, says that when he teaches, you are the director of your painting. If it's not there and it needs it, put it in. If it's there and it doesn't need to be there, take it out. And that is so liberating. You want to be able to give the viewer a few mysteries within the painting. You want the viewer engaged. We like to add little features, like for instance the sailboat in here, which there actually was a sailboat on the lake. And it gives the viewer, you know, a little moment to pause and wonder who's in the boat having a good time, what their life is about. There are little trails and such that lead into the painting, or in this case, more water that's behind the little island. And it just provides a little bit of mystery and something to keep the viewer at your painting a little longer and just enjoying it a little longer. Even to this day, it still amazes me, after painting, gosh, for nearly 40 years, how you can take a few colors of paint and throw them on a blank canvas, and you have an image that is almost three-dimensional on a two-dimensional surface. The thrill never goes away.
Rick approached us about using some of the wood from the property and wood that we had from local properties that had been donated to us for some of the frames that he was building, and we of course said that's exciting, we'd love to help with that. So he has some beautiful walnut pieces that we are thrilled that he is using, and I think it makes it extra special that it's a very, very Hoosier project then, and they're hand-built frames made from Hoosier wood about the Hoosier lands, and just really important.
Rick also makes a lot of his own frames and recycles old frames, so he has that woodsman craftsmanship as well as the artistic of the painter, and so I think those two styles blending together give him a special and unique perspective on Indiana. And having all of them done at once means that we have it's all being done from the same viewpoint, so people can look through his eyes and see the differences that he portrays in different parks and reservoirs in Indiana.
Finally get number 70 finished. It's the largest painting of the group. It's a 48-inch by 60-inch painting, and I finished it. It's of a sunset scene over the waves of Lake Michigan at Indiana Dunes State Park, and so I finished it, and I feel a real letdown, almost a sadness that this is over, and a couple of times my wife and I had driven by the entrances of a couple of state parks, and instinctively, I wanted to turn the car into the parks, and my wife says, we don't have to do that now, and but I want to. So very good chance that this may not be the last state park project I do. I may do some more focused efforts on individual parks now. So we'll have to wait and see what comes of that.
As a publisher of a magazine about plein air painting, outdoor painting, I think this is the kind of project that painters should be doing in every state, documenting every state, every county, every state park. And Rick is really taking the lead on this. This is something that I think other painters will end up following. And from a personal perspective, it means a lot to me. Being from Indiana, I love the landscape of Indiana. It really speaks to me, and I think Rick is the perfect person to preserve those landscapes.
We're really excited to be in partnership with the DNR and the Nature Conservancy, and of course Richmond Art Museum in this project. I think Richmond Art Museum and Cope Center have the opportunity to work together a lot because we're in the same area, but having DNR and the Nature Conservancy as really big supporters of this project and supporters of the whole bicentennial supporting nature and conservation, it's really a big deal. And the fact that Indiana is putting really a lot of attention on it this year is great. And now that we can incorporate art into it, makes it just a great package.
Go to our website, www.indiana2016.org. You can search for legacy projects, and you may come up with a new art project that you'd like to see sponsored.
As far as the paintings are concerned, after the exhibit is over, obviously the paintings are for sale and are available for purchase. Like any artist, you know, we love to see our artwork find good homes. We love to see our work appreciated because we do put our heart and soul into the paintings, and so our paintings are kind of like our children. We like to see them find good homes, and so and which was, you know, going back to one of the reasons I wanted to do this project was to bring joy to people. That's why I paint. It's not for the money. It's not, you know, for any of the glamour stuff. I love to paint. It's a God-given gift for me, and you know, I just love to paint. And you know, if it makes someone happy, if someone enjoys one of my paintings, then that's the icing on the cake. And for someone to actually put out big money to buy a painting and take it home and enjoy it, maybe pass it down, you know, through generations. You know, for me, that's a legacy that I would like to leave my kids and grandkids with, that I did something that made people happy.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us all.